You might be wondering how you're going to set healthy boundaries in a high conflict divorce or a high conflict custody dispute. And, it might be so overwhelming to you that it makes you want to kind of stay with that person because, in your best case scenario, you don't have to because you don't have a high conflict scenario and you somehow remove the conflict. And in your fantasy, you stay together and you learn how to co-parent in a healthy, effective manner. But for a lot of people, that's just not reality. And if you're watching this video, it's probably not your reality. You're going to have to change your behavior in order to start setting healthy boundaries in a high conflict co-parenting environment. You might not be the aggressor. You might not be the person that you think is causing this kind of toxic dynamic. And so it's so frustrating for you that you have to deal with this. A lot of our clients are in your situation, and I can understand why you don't want to be the one to change your behavior. But it takes two. And once you have decided you don't want to be with the other parent, even though you're going to continue to raise this child with the other parent, they're no longer your person, right? You're not living with them, you're not married to them, or you're not still in a relationship with them. You might still have feelings, you might still, care about them and want what's best for them, or maybe you really don't. But either way, not my circus, not my monkey, right? So if they're going to be super dramatic and cause all of these circumstances for you, I know it might feel real impossible, but try not to get triggered and react to it. There's all different ways to see a circumstance, right? And a lot of times it might feel like whatever your ex is doing, they're doing it just to get under your skin, right? They know it's going to drive you crazy if your ex drops off your kid 15 minutes late. He or she knows it's going to screw up your whole schedule. It's going to screw up your workday. It's going to screw up your time with your new girlfriend or boyfriend or your new husband or your new wife. This person's just doing this to bother the out of you, right? And that's what you're thinking in your head. And so that's kind of the energy you're holding. And that's how you might not be communicating that to your kid, but your kid's feeling it. And a lot of this is stuff that a divorce attorney probably isn't going to get through to you. So it's probably something that you can resolve with weekly psychotherapy, with a really experienced therapist. But a lot of this kind of day-to-day drama is stuff that we have, as divorce attorneys, talk to our clients about because you want to involve us to try to set those healthy boundaries for you. And we're happy to do that. But at the same time, you can do that yourself too, and how you handle the situation. And we can help you talk through it to help you handle it. One thing we do as divorce attorneys is we try our very best, if you have a high conflict co-parenting environment, to limit the amount of times you need to communicate or even physically interact with the other parent. And we can do that with a formal custody and visitation schedule. You don't need to see them all the time. I don't want you to see them, okay? We do something called curbside drop-off, all right? If your ex needs to drop off your kid at your house, great. Let's not interact, okay? You don't need to be texting all the time. It's not great. If you really have a lot of anger towards someone still, or they still get under your skin, don't text them. They have all these apps now. There's My Family Wizard. There's all these different apps you can have on your phone that actually have these tips and tricks where they'll tell you if the message you're sending is inappropriate, or if your ex knows that you're texting over these apps, there's an understanding that a judge can see what's going on and that the attorneys can see. So it's going to keep you and your ex on your best behavior when you're communicating with each other. Another thing you can do, it's hard when you say high conflict. What does that mean? If your ex is having really inappropriate, unsafe behaviors where you're worried about your safety and your kid's safety, then we would talk about something like, restraining orders or some kind of really specific court orders that are going to protect you from this volatile, unsafe behavior. But if it's just high conflict where they're irritating you and they're just kind of driving you a bit crazy with their disrespectful behavior, that's where we would say, let's control how we're kind of receiving this, and let's just minimize the communication and the physical interaction so that you can really have your peace of mind for your own fresh start. Because while you still need to continue to co-parent with this person, they don't need to be so involved in your everyday life, right? You can kind of live separate lives, maybe that cross sometimes, but not all the time, because you deserve to have peace of mind in your own bright future. So if you are having a struggle with a high conflict co-parenting situation and you need a bit more help than just trying to resolve this internally or with a therapist, you need some some legal intervention or an attorney to kind of talk you through the best strategies to develop the right co-parenting plan, or whether you need to seek court orders or not, I would recommend you contact us, schedule a complimentary case evaluation with our intake specialist, and she'll schedule you with the right experienced family law attorney on our team to talk you through your situation and get you the help that you need at Fenchel Family Law. If you have a custody agreement and you're wondering, how do I revise it? I want to let you know that you can definitely revise it. Child custody agreements are always modifiable. But before we even talk about revising it, let's first determine, do you really have a court order? So a lot of times parents sign agreements about what they want to do with their kids, and then they don't do anything with the agreement. And maybe you haven't formalized the fact that you're getting divorced, or you haven't formalized the fact that you have a kid together with the court. You don't have any kind of orders in place already. So if you don't have any custody orders already in place with the court, and you just have some email confirming some agreement on sharing parenting time, that's not very helpful if the other parent doesn't follow this agreement. So first thing is you want to formalize it into a court order where you come over to my office and we will draft it up for you to your liking and make sure it complies with the family code and our recommendations. And we'd have your ex sign it, and his or her attorney, if they have an attorney, sign it, and we'd formally submit it to the court where a judge can sign off on it. So it's a formalized, stipulated order that can be enforced in California or other states or even potentially other countries. It's an enforceable legal order. Then if you want to modify it, we can modify it by agreement and go through the same process to formalize it as a modified court order. And that way, whatever you're agreeing to is actually set in stone, and it's something that can be enforced if your ex doesn't follow it. If you just have an email where your ex has responded, sure, yeah, sounds good, and nothing else, that doesn't mean much. But of course, you can modify that email if you guys change your mind and reach an agreement otherwise. If your ex is unwilling to reach an agreement and you're not going to be able to agree to a change, I don't want you to feel hopeless that you won't get to modify your custody orders, whether that's a change in your parenting time, whether that's a change in your vacation schedule, your holiday schedule, whatever it is that you're looking for. While it's ideal if the other parent can agree, it's not required. And in fact, if it's not in your child's best interest for the status quo to continue, I would really encourage you to contact us so we can talk you through what standards the court's going to apply, which is the best interest of the child, what that really means for you in your specific situation. Because if your child is suffering detriment with the current status quo, it's really important that you meet with us so we can really talk you through the specific circumstances that your kid is dealing with and help you understand what a family court is likely to do. And if we do need to involve the family court, I don't want you to think that it's going to be so stressful that it's not worthwhile. Sometimes just involving the family court and filing the initial paperwork at the family court will get the other parent to agree to modify the custody orders because they might not want to go to court either. Or even if we file the orders and it's set for a hearing, the courts have a mandatory mediation process before the hearing. So all that's really happens first is you and your ex are required to talk about your situation to see if you can reach an agreement, and you might be able to. There's all different alternative dispute resolutions other than battling out in court. If we need to go to court, we won't hesitate. We're experienced litigators. We like to win. We'll do everything possible if you have a good case to take this to court and get the orders your kid needs. But that's not our goal. We're not straight to court. We're really gonna talk you through the nuance of the issue and all your different options to make sure that this outcome and the path we go on to get it is the best for you and your family. So if you are wondering how to modify your custody orders, come schedule a case evaluation with my intake specialist, and she will schedule you with the right experienced family law attorney on my team to get you the legal advice you need to do what's best for your child.